Hello and welcome to Hold Up, a movie podcast. Last time we visited Japan for an animated tour, but now it's time for us to raise anchor and set sail on and below the water. There be whalefish, pirates, and torpedoes to evade on this perilous journey, but we are a hungry crew, mostly because we haven't eaten for a few days. Anyway, we hold fast to see what holds up. Tonight's theme is boats. I am one of your hosts, Davan Skelhorn, Captain Davan tonight, I think. You guys can call me that. It's up to you. And with me, as always, my co-host, Chris Worldmine Murphy. How you doing, Murphy?
Oh, there's be land ho.
Lands
In
ho?
these land ho and these
Good.
sea voyages that we be covering.
We're
Doing
just getting
okay.
started here, and land's already ho. It's looking good. It's looking real good. And
um,
with us, we have a guest, the great Kevin Millard from Live Long and Podcast,
Yes.
among
Hello.
other United Federation of Podcast properties.
How
We
you
have a
guys doing
vast
today?
empire. Good. Good. It's not bad. The
fabulous
land is
or not
ho,
so bad.
which is a good thing because it's been raining here for like 2 weeks. And the ground is well saturated. It's just sitting on the top now.
All right.
So the boat's going to be handy to get the girl to school, I think. It's season 1, episode 16 of our show, and it is on boats. I'm the only one on the East Coast right now, so I can see a lot of boats out my window here in Fisherman's Cove. What about you guys? You guys are on a lake. You guys might be able to see some boats, right?
I
I mean, by
definitely
bike.
can't see boats.
No boats.
No
No
boats for
boats.
me.
I'm
Okay.
like a 30-minute bike ride to boats, 20-minute bike ride. They're
Okay.
down the hill from me. I'm mostly just one of those in the city type folks, the compact dust that was mentioned in like the
Like I'm in a pretty
Bluenose.
wealthy neighborhood. I see them in the driveways all the time, but not
Counts.
seeing them on the water. The boats.
Interesting,
Oh,
interesting.
wow. You can imagine where
Nuts.
those boats have been if those boats could talk, as they say. But we'll be talking for the boats tonight. But we have a regular segment on this show, don't we, Murphy?
We do. We want to know your origin story, Kevin. Tell
Origin
us about
stories,
you.
Kevin. What's with you in movies?
What? Would have
It's a
been nice
simple
to.
question.
What's with
What's
me and movies?
what's with you
I
in movies?
was born and then I discovered movies and I like them. I don't really know what the question is.
Well, like elaborate. Like, tell us about your first experiences, like with movies. What is one of your earliest movie memories? What
What's your
entices
favorite
you to
movie?
watching movies? What's your favorite movie? Give us just.
Oh, I think maybe DasBoot might be my new favorite.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. No, I the first movie I can remember seeing in the theater is Star Trek 4. And
That's a great first movie experience. I love
yeah,
Star Trek 4.
yeah,
There'd
with
be
the
whales
whales.
here too.
Yeah.
Very apropos for this episode. This is great stuff. No, since you know what? Yeah,
speaking of apropos stuff, not only you know did we happen to just like schedule and watch these movies far in advance, but there was just so it happened that there was an incident involving a submarine in real life not that long ago. And there's also been incidents involving whales attacking boats
Yes.
quite
yep.
recently. So it's just
Oh, I know.
like,
I was thinking about that
what are the
too.
chances?
It's been a lot of boats in the news recently,
Hmm.
and submarines for that matter. And here we are. I mean, we didn't do this on purpose. It's true. Like, well in advance.
Have you? Speaking of that submarine, have you guys seen Kunk on Earth? where she describes the Titanic as the world's first and most successful single-use submarine ever.
Single-use submarine.
God bless Kunk.
Oh,
She's amazing.
Justin Dave says Kevin's first movie experience was a voyage. It's true.
To the movie theater.
It's all very apropos stuff. Ontario does have boats too. They're in Kevin's driveway. We
Not my driveway. The driveway surrounding me.
I mean, when I worked down at the airport, I would see boats all the time. You know, so like they're here. You can see boats in Toronto. You know, whether they're seaworthy or not, who knows?
Should we head over to Theater 1?
Yeah, find out what it's like to be in the crushing depth of a 3.5 hour long film, because for whatever reason, there's no 1 hour and 47-minute cut anywhere on the internet, just the director's cut. And I'm not totally mad that I ended up watching that, even though prior to going into it, I was like, uh-oh.
I was about to ask you if you're still mad. I know when I told you this was 3 hours and 40 minutes long, I know there was definitely anger then.
There was anger up until the moment I pressed play on the movie, and then I was like, oh. But you know what?
Yeah.
We'll get into that. What theater are we at? Theater 1?
Well, what is this English? I don't want an English poster. Take that down, Murphy. Put up a better poster.
Okay, you give me an hour and I'll do that.
Fine. Well, over in Theater 1, we have DasBoot from 1981, starring Jürgen... Oh, this is going to be fun, fellas. Okay, I'm going to start this over. Starring Jürgen Prochnow, Herbert Grönemeyer, Klaus Wennemann, Hubertus Banksch. Yeah, and directed by Wolfgang Petersen. I tried.
This is good efforts. Good efforts.
All right. At least one of those guys I've definitely seen in another movie. I think it was the Captain. Maybe.
The Captain. I've seen him in something.
Yeah. He probably played like an evil German in something. There's just a lot of those in like 80s, 70s movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. DasBoot.
Yeah.
Or The Boat, as that poster will illustrate there.
Let's see what the trailer is going to show us.
Let's do it. How long is it? Like 2 hours?
It's pretty much up there. The road's closed. Who are those pigs? The road's clear. Coming through. It's the most weirdly paced trailer I've ever watched. They're all boys off our boat.
Is this the same trailer we played at the end of last episode?
Yeah.
Oh, this trailer's weird. It tells you nothing. It's like, which is good because it's the opposite of most trailers we see, which tell you everything.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, the truth is, I don't even know how you summarize this movie. It's kind of all over.
Submarine goes out on mission, I guess.
Hilarity ensues, right?
Hilarity ensues. Like,
Kevin came away. That's why it's his favorite movie now. It's a comedy to him. This is the best comedy I've ever seen.
It is. It's a dark comedy.
Yeah.
I
can tell you though, fellas, I was out for the first 40 minutes of this movie because I was like, "Oh my god, there's 3 hours to come," and like to me, the first 40 minutes are quite boring and doesn't make you care. That's a long time.
I would normally agree with that, but it turns out like it all kind of flew by pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. The last 3 hours did.
The last 3 hours did, yeah.
Yeah. As soon as it hit like the 40, I was watching it, like 42 or 3 minute mark.
That's pretty much when they. That's when they start doing the first like depth test, right?
Hear the music.
Right.
It's like Airwolf.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved when the captain's riding and he's just like, faster! Faster! There's just like shit blowing up and he's like, faster!
They look so funny poking out of the top of it.
Oh, I know. It's like you're watching this gritty movie, and then they poke out the top, and all of a sudden you're watching the Apple Dumpling Gang. Like,
Yeah, it's like, is this a Mel Brooks movie?
yeah.
No, all of a sudden.
Oh, God,
Dude, this trailer's super long and like,
No, man.
why?
Well, man,
But like, a lot of the movie is like that too.
Alles
We'll talk
klar.
about that in a minute.
everything okay? Yes, Captain.
I've never seen this trailer. It is truly awful.
It is one of the worst trailers. Astic.
Now that I've seen the movie, it's hilarious. See, I always watch these trailers before I've seen the movie. Then I watch the movie and see the trailers again. Definitely a different experience. Just a calm sailing,
Just a calm chilling.
sails away. DasBoot. All right. Well,
And now you
let's-
know nothing about the movie.
Well, Kevin, let's start with your opening thoughts because you said this might be your favorite movie. Now, let's hear about that.
Well, I just one thing that's really refreshing about this movie is it's not a ton of Nazi stuff. Like,
No, you wouldn't even know.
right. And in most World War II movies, we get that caricature of the German Nazi, right? Like, and that's not what these guys are at all. This could
Not
have
all
easily
of
been in
them.
a no,
At least.
but the ones that are get made fun of relentlessly on this ship, and yeah, I like that to start. I like the tension in this movie, like just those really slow scenes. Like, it's 3 hours 40 minutes. I don't think there's a minute wasted in this movie.
Oh, I might take issue with you there. But
Sure.
but
They-
finish your thought.
Yeah, I could listen to them looking up at the ceiling and listening to that radar. I could do 20 minutes of that. It's so tense.
Okay,
It's
so that's where you and I differ then, because like for me, there was just a lot of scenes where it's just somebody looking at a wall, and
Yeah.
instead of that, just showing their their face, and that's what you want. It's now look at their face for an extra 45 seconds, and like once you do that like 50 times, which they definitely did in this movie, that adds like there's your extra like 40 minutes. It could have been a 3-hour movie if they just made the looks a little shorter.
I
Well,
don't
that's
think
where
the
I think
theatrical
some of-
release of this film was an hour and 47 minutes, so it was just under 2 hours, or just slightly over 2 hours, like that.
See, that would be an interesting cut to see. I mean, it probably wouldn't be as good.
Yeah, you're
In-
not
in-
going to find it.
No,
No.
I guess not. But
See, I feel like the 3 hours, even though it was lengthy, was the character development was needed because for you to really feel like okay, I liked this movie, but I hate this movie because it makes me sympathize with Nazis, and I don't like sympathizing with Nazis. Okay, this is feel very complex. I mean, yes, they're not the like cartoonish there's a handful of them, and even there's a few flags that are not quite in full flourish. They're like folded up and shit as they should be, but like it's just
this
by the end of this film, you're so claustrophobic and you feel for these
Oh,
poor
yeah.
bastards. To see
I-
them go through what they go through is just rough.
I know they
And I was
suffer
gonna-
so much.
yeah.
I thought O'Brien was with them.
seriously, this could have been an O'Brien episode. No, but I agree with you, Kevin. Like, I see why they did it with those like the long looks and the extended pauses and scenes and stuff. And because it's all intentional. They knew they were doing that,
Yeah.
and it was going to make a long movie. It's all to make you feel claustrophobic and just stuck there. That's the feeling. They want you to feel stuck there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because they're stuck in a submarine under the water. Like what could be worse? Like to me, being in a submarine just seems like the worst thing. You know what this movie teaches us though, that in the modern viewing, Nazis can be more sympathetic than billionaires.
True. But it's funny you say that, Murphy. The scene where they pop up and they're going after the convoy, I'm like rooting for them, and then I'm like, wait, nope, that's wrong.
Yeah, I know.
That's not-
I know. No, it's like, no, I'm not
Wait a
rooting
minute.
for them.
They're committing atrocities right
He's
now.
right now.
I shouldn't be like, yeah, wait, shit.
I should have.
I'm so
I
confused.
should have been cheering for that depth charge.
Like they're firing on what they think is a defenseless convoy of merchant ships.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, yeah, go for it.
Like, well done, Wolfgang Peterson. If that's what you were going for, which it was, I think Wolfgang Peterson probably achieved absolutely everything he intended to and set out to do with this movie. I would think, because there's a lot of layers in it like that.
I think the end of this movie is just about perfect too, like because they go through all of this stuff, they suffer, and then they make it.
I was going to ask if that's too much. Was the ending too much?
No, to me it shows the utter
apropos.
utter waste of war. Like
true.
Yeah,
like it was all you watched. Yeah, it's true. You sat there for 3 hours and 40 minutes, and it was a waste. It's just like all a waste. Like what? Yeah, this movie is genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. True enough. This might be one of my favorite movies too, but not the first 40 minutes. I could have done without those, really.
All right. Well, let me see if I can do my best to surmise this gripping war horror that is DasBoot from 1981. The film opens up with a bit of an explainer that they're in La Roche, France, and it's 1941, obviously. They also emphasize that there was 40,000 German soldiers served on U-boats during World War II, and 30,000 never returned. That is a very terrible ratio, in the sense of like
Cousin Dave.
Submarines aren't different.
Submarines aren't that different to be inside than starships, really. It's
yes,
a good
they
point.
are. Submarines are real, starships are not.
You shut your mouth, sir.
Ding. So yeah, the opening of DasBoot opens up with a murky green ocean where the boat eventually cruises through, and we get the label of DasBoot. And then it
Are
cuts
they
to
in the swamp? Why is it green? Are they in the middle of an algae bloom?
I thought something was messed up with my video when this came up. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to find another version of this movie.
So
one day.
Yeah, the story revolves around the crew of a U-96 German U-boat stationed in La Roche. The Germans' campaign in the North Atlantic turns against them. The U-boat fleet faces dwindling numbers and increasing challenges. The film opens with the introduction of the crew and their rowdy antics during an award banquet for Captain Thompson. Among the officers is Lieutenant Werner, a young reporter assigned to document heroic actions of the submarine crew and the crew members, including the captain and the chief. They have their concerns and personal struggles and concerns amidst the war. This seems kind of hilarious because everyone's just like ridiculously drunk and getting wasted, and then you just got this dude who just like stonders through, and I thought he was going to be like hard PTSD and just like, I'm back from the fucking clutches of this hell, don't go in there. But he's all like, yeah, give it to Churchill. And then this whole scene was just messy. I bet you that room smelled terrible, or it implies that it smells terrible. It was such a disgusting looking bathroom.
Yeah.
But
if that's the set design and not a real just disgusting room, then that's a very impressive set design.
Yeah, for sure.
I would agree, yeah.
From
my understanding, this was a model, and a lot of these were models. They had a couple large designs of the boat, but they were using Ken dolls on some of these models, like modified Ken dolls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah,
best role Ken's ever had.
So as they ship out, you sort of see that they've got all this fresh fruit and stuff that's brought around them, and they're having like fresh meals. The crew experiences the monotony of regular drills and the dreariness of their day-to-day routine. This leads to probably my favorite scene, which is their first diving test, and they keep getting deeper and deeper, and there's that one guy, the code translator, who just kind of breaks his balls.
The shipyard rates about to 90 meters. But of course, we could go deeper.
Did you guys watch it in dub? I watched it in subtitles.
I watched it in subtitles. Yeah.
Subtitles.
There's a limit somewhere.
It's good for an
We
audio
can only
podcast, though.
take so
That's for
much
sure.
pressure before the boat will be crushed.
And then all the crew just smirking at him. And they're like, "We can go deeper than 90. This is no biggie. Let's go to 200."
Oh, they're gonna
guys.
go
Let's have
deeper
some
than
fun."
90.
Oh, do they ever? So yeah, despite the hardships, the crew maintains their spirits, except for Johan, the haunted engineer, also known as the Ghost. I don't have a quick shot of him, but he does appear in my screenshots at some point. Who I thought was probably one of my favorite characters, just because he was so like haunting looking and shit like that. There's a lot
the,
of
the engineer.
Yeah, the engineer, Johan.
Yeah, he was my favorite.
I also liked how their food was progressively getting worse. Like they had fine dining in the first meal, and then by like this meal, they're fucking eating lemons, and then they're fucking buddy. He's like, "Oh, you want the Yuba special?" And he just takes like creamed milk and mixes it with all the lemon juice he's been scraping for the past like 3 minutes, and just stirs that shit up and chugs it. And I was grossed out, but part of me was like, I bet you that tastes like some type of like lemon custard, and it's not so bad. But
Because the milk would curdle too with that lemon juice,
right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like think about a submarine though. Like literally every minute is worse than the one before it. Everyone's just getting stinkier. The food's getting worse. Like every time somebody shits, like isn't it just getting worse in this submarine? Or farts at least. Like maybe they evacuate the human waste. I'm not sure, but if people are farting, like every minute is getting worse in this friggin' tin
Well,
can.
Well, yeah, you only get to like pop the can when they surface up the water like this, right?
Right, and
another thing that's great about
they don't even have their own beds. Like,
no.
Yeah, they share.
Yeah, they're just like sleeping on top of each other half the time on the floor, like half of them.
Yeah,
like they definitely seem to like overpack this. Like, why do you need that many people on a submarine? You're stuck. It's not like you're gonna fight hand to hand at some point. Like, you really just need an engineer, somebody to steer, and somebody to like to shoot the guns. Really, right? Like,
you need a
cool
with, like, sound
people.
guy too, so you can point out where everybody is at all times.
That's true. You need a cool sound guy. But another great thing this movie does is it looks like every minute is worse than the one before. Like they all just start to look real bad by the end of it, and just worse and worse as it goes.
Well, like he says in the beginning, is like, don't take pictures of them when they're baby faces. Take pictures of them when they're back and they have beards and they're haunted. They're haunted by the horrors that they just had to endure.
Yeah, they filmed this in order over a year to get the natural growth and grime, and they subjected them to terrible conditions like this.
Yeah, keeping them like locked up pretty much the whole time without going out and getting sun.
So some dubious practices in making the movie, but
yeah. The turning point in this film comes when the U-96 receives information about a large convoy. The crew successfully sinks 2 destroyers, and the captain orders desperate maneuvers, diving deep into dangerous depths to avoid the relentless pursuit. The crew endures the harrowing depth charging and the sustaining injuries and damages to the sub. While they're playing that, they've got like their little backroom show with a couple guys and some coconuts and bananas, and then you got your hairy pig pork chop, I guess. Like, just like appetizing as fuck. It's like every minute of this is like, you know what? I want to go spend some time on a submarine.
Made me glad to be a vegetarian.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the bananas would go pretty fast if I was on there. So yeah, they're running low on supplies and fuel, and the crew expects to return to La Roche, but they receive secret orders to cross the heavily defended Strait of Gibraltar and reach La Spezia, Italy. Lieutenant Werner and the chief are denied leave and forced to continue with the mission, causing mixed emotions among the crew. Around this point, I believe, is when we get, because it's this is the point when we get to. I think this is Davan's scene. It might be a little different because it's an English dub, but I think this is the one you were talking about.
This might lose something in the translation.
Is the only road to military leadership. No form of training is possible.
3 ribs cracked and a gash on the head.
In making demands on others, an officer
He was lucky.
with himself. If his words are not to seem like
What a rotten month.
and it is only in this fashion
That's what they did? That's
Absolutely
their
right.
dub of that?
instead of
Oh,
Mildew is
man.
good for you.
The subs were way better.
This is why we always say subs
It's the
over
next
dubs.
best thing to
Yeah.
fresh grown lettuce.
So they even changed it. He's talking about a week, and they changed it to a month.
Everything that grows on this boat, we gotta
Why?
be grateful for.
daring is not enough. In removing words or things. Performing a lieutenant's duty.
Oh man, the dub's really distracting. The dubbing acting's not that great.
The funny
It's
thing
funny.
is that the dubbed acting
In the
is
subs,
the
he
actual
goes-
actors.
Yeah.
Oh wow, and they don't know English. You can tell.
Well, the good majority of them did, but there was some that ended up having to learn and later do their lines in the director's cut.
Cousin Dave just
Dave.
dubs over subs.
Oh. Well, he doesn't read.
And he watches The American President, so like, whatever.
You've never seen the subtitled version of American President. Breathtaking. It's breathtaking.
It's totally different movie. Yeah.
This is, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, but anyway, so in the one I wanted to show, he just goes, they're talking about all this shit, and he just goes, shitty week. Then they come back to him, he's like, real shitty week. It's like the only time I chuckled in this movie, so that was my scene. Otherwise, it's hard to pick a scene. Like, it's all just like claustrophobic and horrible.
Yeah. It's kind of a horror movie and apparently a dark comedy. So yeah, as these guys approach the Strait of Gibraltar, they face immediate detection by the enemy, and they're actually they don't get to the Strait of Gibraltar yet. Sorry, before we get to that part, we do get to Kevin's favorite scene where they need to resupply before they go to the Strait of Gibraltar. They're going to drop off Werner and the chief, but then Captain got the orders. Now you're taking them with you. You're going on the death run all together. So this is about the time where we get Kevin's scene here.
Gentlemen, three cheers for our gallant U-boat men. See? You are most welcome, Captain Lieutenant.
No, please. This is
I love the captain doesn't even care. He's like, fuck
Yeah.
it. I don't
My
care.
apologies, sir.
I don't care what this ass clown thinks of me.
A pleasure to have you aboard the
He's
Vesa.
not
The
here to
captain
hold
checked
us
out in the first hour and a half of this movie. It doesn't care about
Delighted.
anything.
To be so honored.
No, he's a
He never
sailor, man. He wants to go
Gentlemen?
sail.
Yeah.
Here they stand. Our heroes of the deep. The Grey Wolves. Our humble ship is honored. On a momentous occasion, such as this is. Captain, lead the way.
Welcome on board.
Nice clean tugboat you got here.
Looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah. I just through that whole scene, I just love how unimpressed the captain is with any accolades, any food, everything. He's just like,
You don't
"Fuck
want some
that."
fruit cake? Yeah. So yeah, these guys basically they get their marching orders and they're set off to approach the Strait of Gibraltar, and they face immediate detection by the enemy. Under constant attack from the British warships and fighter planes, the U-96 suffers significant damage and begins flooding. The crew, led by the captain and the chief, fights against time to save the submarine from sinking. Of course, they endure even more intense depth charging and sustaining significant damage. The crew of the United States becomes oxygen deprived and resigned to their impending death. The captain, overwhelmed by guilt and despair, blames himself for the crew's fate. However, the chief, fueled by determination, manages to repair the submarine despite the crew's weakened state. And it was also one of my favorite scenes is when the chief, after he goes through all the bullshit of like repairing things for what appears to be like 20 hours straight, he just like shows up and he's just like, reporting for duty, captain, or just like here to make a report to the captain, and fucking basically tells him that like they fixed the battery. Like, it was intense.
I could have picked that scene as my favorite, actually.
Yeah,
I really like just before that, just the captain when he's like, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. Like, we're all dead.
Yeah, he gave up. He was you could see significantly in his face. He was giving up at that moment. He was totally done. This is like the whole conversation here. And then,
like, other than being a Nazi, that this engineer guy is kind of like Chief O'Brien in a little way, because it's like he comes to the captain and is like, he's just like, the battery's fixed. He's like, all right. Captain's like, all right, good, go take some rest. He's just like, I still got like some shit to do. He's still got like a few more things to fix. He's just like, that'd be nice. Like,
So recognizing a slim chance of survival, the captain and the chief decide to make a daring attempt to escape. Blowing their ballast, the crew slowly start to rise after they've managed to hand bail out all of the water from one end of the boat to the other. They get the pumps working, pump out the water, and then blow their ballast. The boat starts to rise, defying all the odds. To their astonishment, the engines fire up and work, allowing them to surface and breathe the fresh air. The captain joyously proclaims their escape as the British presumed them all dead, because they're like, they're all sleeping. They don't even know we're here. They think we're dead. So they just sail on back and limps back to La Roche, where they're all greeted, by cheering crowds and a hero's welcome.
Like, it feels miraculous that they were able to do that. Like, by the end of this movie, like so many things go wrong, and it just keeps getting worse. And like, so many depth charges hit them. Really, like, it's crazy that it survived.
Yeah.
And that they were able to get it off the bottom. Like,
even the captain, he marvels at the ship, right? He's like, this.
Yeah.
All throughout the movie, he's like, I can't believe this ship.
That's why the movie's named after it. It's like, that's the main character. Just like the Enterprise is often the main character. The main character is DasBoot.
I'm sorry. Wait, are you comparing a Nazi U-boat to the Enterprise? Because let's not do that, right? Let's not do that right now.
I already compared a Nazi to Chief O'Brien. I'm all the way in. I'm already up to my knees in this analogy. I might as well just own it.
Damn it. That's the end of the show.
I'm not saying in their philosophical bent.
So yeah, these guys are greeted like cheering the heroes. Although exhausted, the crews are relieved and proud of their survival. I was honestly seeing this right here when that bridge connects to the boat. The biggest, like, oh thank God, oh thank God, get these guys on some fucking land.
Thank God the Nazis are safe.
I know, and I hated that. I fucking thought that, because I was like, wait a minute. Oh, they're at a big Nazi rally. Fuck these guys. God damn it.
But wait for it. Oh, the Nazis are dead. Oh, it's like, okay.
Yes, however,
like, do I feel good now? How do I feel? How am I supposed to feel?
And air raids.
Tell me how to feel, Wolfgang Peterson.
And enemy warplanes descend upon the scene, mercilessly attacking and bombing everyone in sight, including the U-96. Lieutenant Werner and the chief manage to seek shelter, along with a few others. Once the planes leave, Lieutenant Werner emerges to survey the devastating aftermath. Most of the crew lies dead on the pier, including Johann, the second lieutenant, and Allman. And finally, Lieutenant Werner reaches the captain, I need to pick this speed up a bit, who is still standing but mortally wounded, with blood trickling from his mouth. In his final moments, the captain witnesses the U-96 sinking from sight. The camera zooms out, capturing Werner, holding the lifeless captain, encapsulating the tragic end of their journey. And yeah, DasBoot portrays the indomitable spirit of a crew as they face relentless adversity from the depths of the ocean to the devastation of war on land, captures the harrowing realities of combat, the bonds formed amidst chaos, and the profound impact of human resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. God, what a
Doug
friggin'
Peterson.
movie. What a friggin'
Fix that right
movie. I didn't
Well,
want
let's
to
talk
watch
about that.
this
Hold on.
film. I didn't want to watch
which
this film.
which performance
Glad
would
I
you hold
did.
up?
Oh,
For me, it's Johan. I like Johan and the captain, I guess, because his kind of
For me, it's the
dry
captain.
wit. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely the captain and the chief. Those were my two favorites, and I also like the sound guy, the guy who was like listening to sonar and shit. He was
Oh,
one
yeah,
of my
yeah.
favorites. I liked his look and everything. I think I've seen him in other films too. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place it.
Setting aesthetic.
Claustrophobic as fuck.
Yeah,
It's
Especially
real.
when-
It all looks real.
especially when all the bolts start going, firing off when they're in the depths. Like that shit scared me. I'm like, okay, it's just a movie. Like,
The only time it looks
Action
silly
in
is
the
when they're
submarine.
poking out of the top.
and I kind of love that too. That it looks like that. Like, it's like such a tense movie, and then you get this kind of funny looking part. These funny looking Like when they're waving at the other sub, like, what are you doing?
Boats do that though. Like you see the yachts in the
Yeah.
harbor doing that. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I have a boat.
I
Me
also
too.
have a boat.
Bikers do that though. You see bikers. I'm a biker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a biker too. Yeah. No, that's all right. We Trekkies do it too. It's just like I get
You
you.
have a culture of people,
Yeah.
you know, you got your hand signs. I mean, the Nazis have their hand sign. We're not going to do that.
Oh my
today.
god! Don't make. You're the one making those analogies now.
Hey,
All right.
we're just talking.
Give us some
So,
pop.
you want some movie morsels then?
Yeah.
All right. We got movie morsels for DasBoot
Well,
1981.
runners do it too.
Runners do it too. There we
I'm
go.
running. I'm as well. I'm running. Hello, sir.
So
Wait a
yeah,
minute.
for first
Can they
movie
say
morsel.
ahoy? Can runners start saying ahoy? Ahoy!
Ahoy, matey.
Yeah, Dave, I think you should
right.
start that.
Yeah,
Start
start that,
doing an
Dave.
ahoy
Start
group.
ahoying it up.
In 6 months, he'll just start having other people be like, ahoy.
It'll just be everybody else going, hey, look, it's that ahoy guy. Anyway. Let's get some morsels.
First movie morsel for DasBoot 1981. The cast was deliberately kept indoors continually during the shooting period in order to look as pale and real as a real submarine crew would on a mission at sea. Instructed to grow their beards out, all the foodstuffs in the submarine, which dangle abundantly in the film's opening moments, were real and began to rot over the course of production. Disgusting but very authentic recalls Claude Olivier Rudolph, who plays the burly mechanic Rio in the 2021 documentary. Prop master Peter Durst even recalls pouring heaps of cologne into the increasingly foul water in a last-ditch attempt to improve the working conditions.
Your cousin Dave's a tally-ho.
Oh, he's a tally-ho guy.
Prefers
Of
a
course.
good tally-ho. It's like, I've seen it. It's embarrassing.
The submarine models were also used in Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. Originally filmed in German, all of the major actors could speak English. When the movie was dubbed into English for US and UK distribution, all the principal actors, with the exception of Martin Smelleroge, Rogue.
It's not as easy as it looks, is it?
Yeah, I know. Smelleroge. Actually,
Call
dubbed
him
their own
Klaus.
voices.
Call everyone
Schmellerod.
Klaus.
However, caught up in 97 by dubbing himself to the director's cut. To simulate the storm in the Atlantic, a model of the tower was splashed with water from a large tank. Jan Feder lost his grip on the railing and was washed off the model, breaking a few ribs in the fall. One of the other actors instantly shouted, "Man overboard!" Wolfgang Petersen, not realizing it was an accident, enthusiastically yelled, "Good idea! Jan, we'll do that one more time!" And Petersen kept the scene and rewrote Freddo's part so that his character spent part of the movie in bed. The actor who had a concussion was brought back and forth from the hospital every day. The painful expressions on his face is real, and the scene which features him bedridden is on the uncut edition. So it's like, why not roll with it? This was a fun one. Rutger Hauer was offered to play the captain, but turned it down to do Blade Runner in 1982. So we could have had Rutger Hauer playing the captain in this role. Three scale
I'm glad
models.
it went the way it did because
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 scale models. Three scale models were built for special effects work. The first, a 35-foot remote-controlled model, could sail in high seas and dive. The other two, 18 feet and 8 feet in length, were used for underwater shots. Scale models of tankers, destroyers, and other ships were also built to complete the armada. Depth charge explosion effects were created by detonating small explosives in a 5 meter deep tank and filming them at 1,500 frames per second. And the human figures on 35-foot models were modified Barbie or rather Ken dolls. The cinematography was by Joost van Conno, edited by Hans Nickel, music by Klaus Daldinger.
Klaus, I knew it.
Release date of September 17th, 1981, with a runtime of 149 minutes, a budget of 32 million or equivalent to 34 million euro. In 2021, it had a box office of 84.9 million, or an equivalent of 257 million today. So big hit.
It's a money.
Hit.
You know what they say about Rutger Hauer these days, though? He's just a hobo with a shotgun.
I got that movie. I was in that movie, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So I mentioned it. I haven't seen it, actually. You have to pick it for this podcast, maybe.
We'll find some time.
Rewatchability. Would you watch this movie again? I'm not in a rush to watch a 4-hour movie again, I gotta say. As good as it is, I don't know that the rewatchability is incredibly hot because of it's so long.
I will probably watch this in the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
You're gonna end up
I don't think I will personally. Like I kind of feel like I've seen this film before. I feel like because I kind of remember the end of it or portions of the end of it. I think my parents had rented it and I fell asleep watching it as a kid or something. But I sort of remember portions of this film.
If you were a kid, you'd go right out watching this movie.
Oh yeah.
You're not making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand the concept of what it means to be floating under thousands of pounds of water. Now I do, and it terrifies me to an endless degree.
Yeah. I like being on the water. I don't know about submarines. Well, that's interesting. What did you say for rewatchability there, Murphy?
It's if I do, it's probably not going to be for a few years. I'll probably be like some old man in a rocking chair and be like, you know what? I want to watch some Nazis get tortured for 3 hours and then absolutely demolished at the end. That's what I feel like watching.
That's not what you want. You're going to be like, you know what I want? I want to cheer for some Nazis, right?
Yeah, for 3 hours and 40 minutes.
No!
Kevin wants to do that every couple of weeks, so don't feel bad.
No! Bad!
Kevin's like, look, cheering for Nazis makes me feel a little warm and fuzzy inside, and I'm just going to embrace it.
Terrible. Pure mixed emotions.
Yeah. It's full of that. Man. All right, so the big question. Does it hold up?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it really does hold up because it's just, you feel like you're on a submarine every goddamn horrible minute of it, and you're just like, how could anybody do this? Why are they doing this? How are you all just sitting in the same tube? How has nobody taken a bath? How has it been like 3 months and nobody's like tried to kill the captain, turn the boat around, and get the fuck out of there? Like, how is anybody keeping their sanity together and just sucking on lemons like, this is a hell of a day. Can't wait to go shoot down some British destroyers for the great power that is, you know, funny mustache man and his German hills there, you know, like, come on. No. This is insanity. It shouldn't work. It shouldn't be good. It should be a terrible movie. Everything about it I hate, but god damn it if it isn't a good fucking movie.
Had to win me over. Like during that first 40 minutes, I'm like, this, because it's boring, that first 40 minutes. I'm like, this is boring. There's 3 hours more. It's about Nazis. I hate this. Damn you, Kevin. Damn you. and then by the end, I'm like, thanks, Kevin. That was a good pick. Yeah, boy. Glad to have you on the show.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, hold up. Definitely holds up. I'll add that to the A list over on my tally here that we'll show at the end of the show. And we'll move over to Theater 2.